Okay, welcome back to the deep dive.
Hey there.
Today we're plunging into something that feels, well, a bit like unlocking a secret level in your brain.
Oh, intriguing. What's that?
Using English, not just for talking to others, but actually as direct tool for thinking, for processing, and solving problems right inside your own head.
Right, right. That's a big shift, isn't it?
It really is.
Moving English from just, external communication to being an active part of your internal world, your inner dialogue.
Exactly. And we've pulled together a stack of, well, really fascinating sources for this dive.
Good stuff.
Yeah, we've got guides on structured problem solving using English, techniques for training your brain to actually think in English daily, and even specific exercises for that inner voice.
The internal monologue.
That internal monologue we all have, yeah, giving it a chance to speak English.
Okay, so what's the plan? What are we trying to get out of this?
Well, our mission today is basically to cut through all this material and pull out the most potent, the most practical strategies.
The nuggets.
Exactly, the nuggets. We want to show you concrete ways you can start integrating English into your daily thoughts, like right now, and how that can actually help you tackle real-world challenges more effectively.
So like a shortcut to being more fluent and thinking more clearly.
That's the idea. Think of it like that. So let's start with the core idea that runs through these sources,
Okay.
which is actively training your brain to think in English every single day is a seriously valuable skill. Especially, if it's not your first language.
Right. And the sources, they aren't just talking about memorizing grammar rules or like endless word lists in isolation.
Oh, no, no.
It's really about consistent practice and creating an environment of immersion. So English just naturally becomes the language your mind reaches for.
Even when you're just processing stuff for yourself.
Exactly. And the payoff is huge, they say. It helps you structure your thoughts more clearly, which, then makes it easier to communicate those ideas outwards.
And it boosts your overall language fluency at the same time. Win-win.
Absolutely. And the sources really highlight that with focused practice, it really does become second nature.
So how do we start? What are the key strategies? Immersion seems big.
Oh, absolutely critical. Yeah. You basically need to surround yourself with the language.
Movies, shows.
Yeah, watch movies, TV shows, listen to podcasts, music, all in English. And try, if you can manage it, to do it without always leaning on subtitles or translations.
That's the hard part sometimes.
It is, but it helps. And here's a neat little trick the sources mention that's like deceptively simple.
How about?
Change the language settings on your phone, your computer, your apps. Switch them to English.
Ah, okay. So you're just seeing it all the time.
Exactly. It creates this constant kind of low-level exposure throughout your entire day.
I like that. It's like passive immersion working for you.
Hmm.
Okay, another strategy they talk about is learning vocabulary, but learning it in context. That seems important.
Yes, this is really key to avoiding that translation trap we fall into.
Right. Word A in my language equals word B in English.
Exactly. Instead of that, focus on words and phrases that are directly relevant to your life. Your job, your hobbies, your daily routine.
Makes sense. Things you actually use.
Right. The sources suggest tools, maybe flashcards or apps like Anki, but the core idea is to create a direct link, a direct association between the English word and the real thing, the action, the situation.
Bypassing your native language altogether.
Precisely. See an apple, think apple. Feel hungry, think I'm hungry.
That direct connection builds that fluency muscle, I guess.
You got it. And of course, reading and writing are still fundamental.
Daily reading. They say that's kind of non-negotiable.
Pretty much. Grab English books, articles, even just scroll social media in English. The key is picking topics you actually enjoy so it doesn't feel like a chore.
Yeah, that helps absorb sentence structures and vocabulary more naturally.
Totally. And keeping a journal in English, that's one of the best ways the sources recommend to actively practice thinking in English. You're structuring your thoughts on the page.
Right, forcing yourself to formulate them. And what about actually, using the language? Active engagement.
Yeah, obviously talking with native speakers or language partners is invaluable. Can't beat that.
Sure.
But even just repeating phrases you hear maybe from a show or a conversation, repeating them to yourself helps internalize the natural rhythm, the flow of English speech patterns.
Okay, it all sounds like, well, it takes some effort. A significant commitment, maybe.
Oh, for sure. The sources definitely emphasize patience and consistency. Massively.
Yeah, I bet.
This isn't some overnight fix. They suggest starting small. Maybe just like commit to actively thinking in English for 10 minutes a day.
Manageable.
Right. And then gradually increase that time as it gets easier. And importantly, don't beat yourself up if you slip back into your native language. Happens to everyone.
Just gently redirect.
Exactly. Gently redirect your thoughts back to English when you notice. Setting a specific time for practice can also help build it into a solid habit.
And that point about avoiding translation, they keep coming back to that.
Crucial. It just slows you down and keeps English sort of separate from your core thought process. Start simple. Simple internal observations, then build up the complexity over time.
Okay, so that gives us the groundwork, integrating English into daily thoughts. But how do you tap into that stream of consciousness, the inner chatter that really shapes how you think?
Yeah. That's where practicing your internal monologue comes in. It's a technique these sources highlight as, like, particularly potent.
Internal monologue. So literally talking to yourself in your head, but in English.
Basically, yeah. It's about giving that constant inner chatter. We all have a voice, but specifically in English, you're essentially narrating your thoughts, your feelings, your activities to yourself in the language.
So what's actually happening when you practice this? I mean, does it just make you better at talking out loud, or is there something, like, deeper going on?
That's the fascinating part. I mean, yes, it absolutely bridges the gap between thinking and speaking. If you can form the thought clearly in English in your head, you're much closer to actually saying it.
Makes sense.
But the sources point out it also boosts your self-awareness. It acts like a kind of mental mirror.
Yeah. How so?
Well, by consciously articulating your inner voice in English, you become more mindful of what you're actually thinking, how you're reacting to things, the often unnoticed flow of your inner world.
So you're noticing your thoughts more.
Exactly. It truly lets that inner commentary shine, but you're experiencing it in a different language, which can be quite revealing.
Interesting. The sources offer some practical exercises for this, right? Like scenario-based practice.
They do, yeah. You conjure up a specific situation in your mind. The example they give is preparing for a big presentation.
Okay, nerve-wracking.
Totally. So picture the scene, the room, the audience, you at the podium. Then just let your internal voice run wild in English. What thoughts are bubbling up?
Like, okay, deep breath. I really hope I don't stumble over my words.
Yeah, or what if they don't like my slides? And how are you feeling? Maybe, my stomach's churning a bit. But there's also this strange flicker of excitement.
So you're essentially doing a mental rehearsal of the internal experience, but in English.
Exactly that. You can either just think through it, or some sources suggest even writing it down, just letting that inner stream of consciousness flow as naturally as it would in your native language.
Okay. And another exercise was reflecting on a past moment.
Right. Think back to a time you felt genuinely proud, maybe finishing a tough project or, helping a friend out when they really needed it.
Got it.
Replay that moment in your mind and narrate what your internal dialogue was saying at that specific time. But do it now in English.
It's like, wow, I can't believe I actually pulled this off. All that hard work was totally worth it.
Precisely. Or maybe describing the physical sensation. I'm just grinning like an idiot right now and my chest feels light,
The specific details really seem to bring it to life.
Yeah, being honest and specific is key, they say. It helps capture the true texture of your thoughts and feelings from that moment.
And for something maybe less intense, there's just narrating your daily routine.
Yeah, this is a great way to integrate it really easily into your day. Pick a totally routine task, making your morning coffee, walking the dog, whatever.
Okay.
Describe each small step and any thoughts or reactions that pop up. So pouring coffee might be, shifts tone slightly. Okay, filter paper in, scoop 1, scoop 2.
Smell that. The only thing keeping me awake.
Right, or did I forget to buy sugar again? Sighs mentally. Looks like it. Oh, well, black coffee it is.
Yeah, the kind of mundane inner chatter is exactly what happens constantly in our native language, right? We just don't notice it.
Exactly. So making a conscious effort to have that dialogue in English. It doesn't just boost mindfulness. It helps you become aware of that constant inner voice in a totally new way.
And the tips for these exercises seem pretty straightforward. Be detailed, be honest.
Yeah, be honest, even if your thoughts feel messy or silly, and practice regularly. Like any muscle, the more you exercise your internal monologue in English, the stronger and more natural it gets.
Okay, so we've covered the foundation thinking in English daily and this powerful technique of internal monologues. But this ability to shape your internal world in English, it isn't just for self-reflection, is it?
Not at all. Our sources show how you can leverage this for something really practical, actually tackling problems.
Right. This is where it gets really interesting, I think,
Right.
because it takes that clearer thinking you're developing and applies it directly to navigating challenges, big or small.
Exactly. The sources lay out a structured process for problem solving using English. It gives you a concrete framework to follow.
And it's presented as an 8-step guide. Okay, let's walk through it, focusing on how English is used at each stage. Step 1, identify the problem.
Yep. You need absolute clarity here. Ask yourself directly, in English, what exactly is wrong here? Why is this causing an issue?
And they suggest writing it down?
Yeah, writing it down in simple English helps solidify it. A good example they give is something like, the team missed the deadline because we didn't plan well enough.
Simple, specific, in English. Got it. Step 2, gather information.
Right. Collect all the relevant details. Ask yourself, okay, what do I already know about this? What information do I need to find out?
And use English resources for this.
Yeah, articles, reports, maybe conversations if needed. Take notes in English. And here's a key tip. Summarize what you find in your own words in English.
Ah, so you're forcing yourself to process it, not just copy-paste.
Exactly. You actively engage with the information. Step 3 then is analyze the information.
Okay, break it down.
Break down the details you've gathered, look for patterns, connections, root causes, and think in English as you connect the dots. Okay, this data shows we spent way too long on step 1. Right. That explains why everything else got delayed.
Identify the why and what's effective.
Precisely. Then, step 4, generate solutions.
Brainstorming time.
Totally. List every possible fix you can think of. No judgment at this stage, just get ideas down and use English phrases. Okay, one idea is to add more team members. Another option could be to simplify the tasks themselves. What if we just ask for an extension on the deadline?
Just getting it all out there. Step 5, evaluate solutions.
Now you assess each idea you came up with. Ask in English, right? Is this practical, given our resources? How much time, how much money would it require? What specific outcome would it actually achieve?
And compare them.
Yeah, compare the options directly in English. Okay, adding team members costs more, but would definitely speed things up. Extending the deadline is free, but it just pushes the problem down the road, doesn't it?
Making decisions by thinking them through in English. Cool. Step 6, implement the solution.
Pick the best option based on your evaluation, and then map out the concrete steps you'll take. Again, do this planning in English.
Like first, I'll schedule a meeting with the team.
Then discuss the new plan. Then we'll redistribute the workload based on that. Writing a short action plan in English helps keep things super clear.
Okay. Step 7, monitor and adjust.
Right. Put your solution into action, but don't just walk away. Check if it's actually working. Ask yourself, in English, is the problem starting to improve? What results am I seeing?
And be ready to tweak it.
Absolutely. Be ready to adjust if needed. Okay, the new plan is helping, but actually, we need to focus more attention on this reporting phase. Track progress and tweak as you go.
Makes sense. And finally, step 8, reflect and learn.
So important. Once the problem is solved, or at least managed, take a moment to review the whole process. Ask in English, what parts of our solution worked really well? What could we have done better next time?
And write it down.
Yeah, write a brief summary in English, something like, okay, planning ahead was essential, but next time I definitely need to build in more buffer time right from the start. This step really solidifies the learning for future challenges.
You know, the sources seem to tie this problem-solving framework back to the earlier points quite nicely, offering tips that echo what we already talked about.
They absolutely do. They mention think aloud, which is literally speaking your thoughts out loud in English as you work through a problem.
Which connects directly to practicing that internal monologue.
Exactly. They also emphasize keep it simple, focus on clarity using basic English words rather than getting tangled up trying to find the perfect grammar.
Clarity over perfection.
Right. And practice daily. Start applying these problem-solving steps to small, kind of low-stakes problems first before you try and tackle the really big ones.
Right, so using these steps to figure out a simple scheduling conflict at home is perfect practice for eventually solving a complex work challenge using the same method.
Precisely. And putting it all together using a structured approach like this for problem-solving. It naturally encourages that think aloud or internal monologue practice because you're actively processing information and ideas in English.
Yeah, it integrates using English into a really functional, goal-oriented task, which reinforces that whole overall objective of making English a natural, seamless part of your daily thought process.
Mm-hmm. And it brings us right back to those core success tips highlighted across all the sources we looked at.
Think aloud, keep it simple, practice daily.
Avoid translating, and, crucially, be patient and consistent.
Yeah. Ultimately, this isn't just about boosting your English fluency in like a vacuum, is it?
Not at all. It's really about leveraging language as a powerful tool for clearer thinking, for enhanced self-awareness, and ultimately for more effective action.
Whether you're navigating a professional challenge, a personal dilemma, or just, the logistics of your day.
Exactly.
So we've seen how consciously integrating English into your thought process, intentionally practicing those internal monologues, and applying a structured problem-solving method can significantly sharpen both your language skills and your ability to tackle challenges head-on.
Yeah, it's a powerful combination.
And the great news really is that you don't need perfect vocabulary or flawless grammar to start any of this.
Absolutely not. You can pick just one of these simple steps or exercises we talked about and just begin today. Start small.
All right. So here's maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to sort of sit with as you go about your day. If thinking in English genuinely helps you see problems and potential solutions more clearly, what complex challenge in your own life, big or small, could you start unpacking today? Perhaps just one simple English thought or one structured step at a time.